Hello again, and welcome back to the Automating Everything series. Since last time, I have actually expanded my little base here a bit. I've added a deployer here that I can use to do various recipes. I added a bunch of water wheels back there, added some fans for processing. I believe I had that last time, but I can't remember for sure. I also added a mechanical crafter so I could get myself some crushing wheels so I can start processing and getting nuggets of experience, which are very useful. Other than that, I did also spend time getting a mending villager set up. It took a bit of time, but sure enough, I got it. He just sits way down there now. I don't know where to put him for now. But yeah. So today's kind of goal is to build this out. I have added the smart chutes that I mentioned last time. So now it will automatically filter into these drawers. I still have a spare chest on backup just in case. I can remove this part though, just going into that barrel. Now, as for the actual palette of this building, I kind of want it to mix a sawmill and a cafe in a way. And I know the last time I mentioned egg sandwiches, but that's not what this is going to be for. Or I would call it more of like a a knick-knack store of sorts in a way, or like a souvenir store. If you've ever been to one of those, they tend to have a variety of things available. And one of the things we're actually going to try to automate today is a source of food from these acorns here. If I look at the uses of these, there's a good few recipes from this that we could probably have made. But the main one I'm looking at is this nutty cookie recipe, as well as this candy nuts recipe. These are two pretty easy ones, just need some sugar, and in this case also needs a bit of flour, but that's easy enough to automate. And from that, we get two nice food sources, and it's kind of like they are being sold within this little sawmill as like a souvenir of sorts, is my take on it. Now, you may have noticed I added some tough bricks here from twigs. They look pretty nice, I think. They have that sort of weathered look. I'm gonna have like a little lake sort of thing here also, which should help the look. Maybe I put the wheat field on the back here, just like a small one for farming, and maybe it like comes out from here to harvest. We'll see on that. We'll also need sugar to be made. I've made some extra platform space back here, so I can kind of add the environment to make it really look like a sawmill, like it has logs on the side as backup, that kind of thing. I've not quite gotten enough tough bricks to completely frame it out, but I've gotten most of the way there. In the meantime, though, this has produced quite a bit of wood in all the time I've been spending in our world here, as well as many twigs, acorns, apples, and saplings. This has been pretty productive. Another thing I'll mention is I actually, since last time, added a few mods here. One, I believe I might have had this last time, but it didn't really come up. It's called Colorful Azaleas, and it adds some very pretty logs here. As you can see, there's some blue ones, and there's some sort of more natural tones. Another one is called Red Power, and you can create like redstone wiring, and it just looks really neat and could be cool for automation purposes. Let's see here, there's also a mod that adds a bunch of foods that we can automate, specifically designed for Create. And then finally, there's one that just makes more compatible materials for silent gear, which I think is another thing I'm gonna try to get into today, as I've been kind of pushing my gaming pickaxe here. And on that note, if you would like to suggest any mods, please feel free to say so in the comments. I'm always kind of open to suggestions, and I may add ones you suggest. And there are many, many mods out there. Keep in mind, I am running on 1.19.2 on Forge, so don't recommend me fabric mods that are fabric only, please! It's a waste of time, both yours and mine. While I go to gather some tuff here, it was also mentioned to me that some of these sounds, especially the bird sound, there's our mending villager, can be quite loud. So I've added a extreme sound muffler mod, and I'll spend some time trying to sort of not completely deafen those sounds, because I personally like them and they provide some nice ambience, but I'll definitely reduce their noise so they're not as intrusive. Now, one problem I encountered also was that these fried eggs here, or cooked eggs that the smoking would make, it would only make these cooked eggs and not the ones I need for the egg sandwich. But how did I get an egg sandwich? Well, as it turns out, I figured out a way to implement a recipe to just convert this to this. As simple as that. There's no sort of loss to this. It's technically speaking a downgrade, but this will mean I can automatically craft these into the fried egg, which I can then use for recipes like the egg sandwich. So that will be useful, and I'll probably use similar things like that just for converting and things like that, because it can be silly to not be able to use the same thing between two different things. Now, I did mention that I wanted to mess with silent gear, so I have started doing that off camera here. I went ahead and opened my bundle that I've had for this whole time, and I went ahead and upgraded our diamond pickaxe here. So now it has these nice traits, which mean it will occasionally take less damage. And it also has extra durability here because I'm using a nickel tool rod, which, as you can see here, gives times 1.2 to durability. Now, I haven't converted anything else yet. I don't really know what I should go with. I'm thinking maybe a machete might be cool, but we'll have to see. As for the wood farm over here, I finished up making the bricks for the lining. I want to break these up a bit more with like logs for supports kind of thing. Whoops, I forgot to remove them there. But this is the sort of main idea. In fact, I might also... No, you know what, we can leave it like this, I think. I'm thinking stripped oak logs might work best for the, like, floor here, right? Because it's thematically appropriate, but it's not so, like, too oaky, if you know what I mean. Because one worry I had was that it would kind of become a bit overbearing. But if I go ahead and yeah, I think that could work. I wonder if we pattern it a bit like this. If that looks better. I kind of like that a bit more. It gives it a nicer look, in my opinion. So let's go ahead and checker this up, essentially. Yeah, that... I like this. I like this. I like this look. Plus, it makes use of the farm. So now what I have to do is just pretty much this the rest of the way. We'll have sort of one log straight along here to signify the sort of barrier. You probably won't see this, and in fact I'm going to need to replace that cobblestone too. But, you know, it's better for the general feel. I'm going to go ahead, we need to fill that out down there as well. I'm going to go ahead and finish up building out this floor, and I'll see you once it's done. Alright, so I spent some time making this. I have continued this checkerboard pattern all the way around. I think it looks pretty good. It's soft enough where it's not too jarring, but it's interesting enough where it's not too boring either. I also added some twigs along the side here as a little bit of almost flavor in a way, because I mean, it is generating quite a few twigs here, so it feels almost more appropriate. I also have some back here. They're just kind of sporadically placed around nearby the edge. Now, the only thing I don't know what to do about is this channel in which the minecart goes, and these two spots, this at this end, as well as that. I'm thinking to find some sort of striped thing for these ends, as this is, right here, it's kind of dangerous to stand, but Other than that, yeah. And for this, I'm thinking maybe some sort of trapdoor, because it doesn't actually inhibit it in any way, but I still kind of, it is flowing through that, so I'm not entirely sure. I also replaced the post here that was originally cobblestone with that walnut wood I mentioned. Oh no, I'm stuck. And yeah, now what we can work on is taking these acorns that we have and turning them into candied nuts. Before we do that, though, we'll kind of need to figure out the walls here. Now, I want to do some other wood other than oak for the walls, because I really don't want to get too repetitive. Oh, that's 2 trees right next to each other. Very nice. And I've got quite a few options. I think I'm leaning towards a darker wood with the lighter floor. Maybe that walnut wood, actually. This. There's also rose, which it's a bit redder, but I might go with this actually because it looks pretty nice. Let's go take it over here. Yeah, I think I like that. It's like a very rich color. That's what I liked about this colorful azaleas mod, is it adds some very sort of neat natural tones. Yeah, so then right here we want like a sort of doorway. So we'll have another post there. And yeah, I will experiment with this more, and I'll catch you in a moment. So I wanted to give a little progress update here. I've done a bit more building, and this is what I came up with. I took use of that rose azalea logs, and then finished out the pattern, so now I have a little staircase here, so I can remove that. And I've basically went all the way around, using this as the frame, and then this is the floor. I still don't know what to do here, but I did put these bright azalea trapdoors in place here, and they seem fine. As for in here, I went ahead and put tough bricks all the way up here, because that's where this is. Now, I'm not entirely sure how I want to do this. Chances are I'm going to need to add another water wheel here, because as it stands, if I'm going to add any automation for the production of the foods from the acorns here, it's likely going to need more stress units, and as such, we'll need to add another water wheel out there, but that's fine, we have space for it. Additionally, I'm thinking we'll have a sort of desk right along here maybe, and that's where you can grab the candied nuts or whatever. There could be a depot here and a depot here or something with the cookies in stacks of 16 or something like that. It's as if you're buying them. Of course, in reality, it wouldn't be, but you know. As I also found these really neat lanterns called tavern lanterns from McCall's Lights and Lamps. And they have a very neat look. They're also cheaper than normal lanterns are. Finally, I've made some of these red framed glass panes, which I'm planning on using for the windows here once I figure out what I want to do for the walls. I'm thinking this will just be kind of an open doorway out. And there's another lantern here. But yeah, otherwise this production has been going pretty well. Oh, hello. What do you have? Red maple, ebony sapling. Sadly, he only... Oh, he has a mangrove poppergill. Yes, please. Please do not get killed in the tree farm, sir. Why do my stuff has been arranged the same way this entire time. I don't know why I search for it sometimes, but... Alright, hello, buddy. Give me that propagule. Perfect. We have mangrove wood. Wonderful. Very good. Okay, so I will have to mess with this more. After we've done that, though, what we'll want to do is we'll have a chute below the acorns here, and that reminds me, I should get a, at drawers, storage, yeah. I'll want to get a configuration tool. It's a locking tool, linking tool, configuration tool. So I'm going to go ahead and make that so I can lock these, but then I'll have a chute probably below this acorns here that just kind of brings them along underneath so they can be made into the candied nuts below. Let's check. Are we able to... Is this a shape recipe? Can I... Automated shapeless crafting. Oh, we can actually do this. That's perfect, because what we could do then is we could actually have our basin with the mixer like up back here, so then the quote-unquote customers could see it being made back there before it gets bounced over to the depot. So yeah, that should be pretty cool. So I will get working on finishing up this building. Alright, so I've spent a lot more time building, and this is what I've come up with. I'm using mahogany wood from Hexa right here, and then the colorful azalea wood, of course. I have a sort of like frame around our water wheels here, which I did go ahead and add 2 more because they're pretty cheap. Up in here, there's a little interior that I'm still working on. I can't decide what the ceiling color or the roof color here is fully going to be, but I think I'm liking this. I want to add some casings here as well, just to cover this shaft, but otherwise it's pretty much done. Added a little crossbeam here above the bricks, so yeah, I think this came out pretty good. One thing I'll note is that the lanterns, they don't actually emit any light, they're just aesthetic, so I'm gonna have to get some other light source, probably some lanterns that I can put up around the place, but for now torches will work until I figure that out. So yeah, all I need to do is put a wood up there. I'm just debating what to use. I want to use something colored here, maybe, because a lot of this is dark, so putting something more colorful there would be ideal, I think. So yeah, I was also considering, I tried putting oak up there and it didn't seem to work that well, and I think mahogany would just be too much here, so yeah, I'll go with this for now. Next, I'll finish up that, but next up would be setting up the automation of the candied nuts, which is going to need sugar, and if we're going to do the cookies as well, we'll need flour as well. Now these should be doable. Let's add candy nuts and then a cookie. Nutty cookie. Okay, so these are the 2 things. Now I can automated shapeless craft. Perfect. So then what we can have is back here, we'll have the 2 mixers making the items. Now I don't know how I'll get the items into them. I'm gonna have to think about that. But we'll definitely have them creating it right back here, so then it can get taken to a depot along here. So yeah, I shall start working on that. So I've actually made some additional changes to the mods present here. I've added a few, some more that include food especially, because I don't know why, I just have a big thing for automating food. It's quite fun to me. I also added something called biomancy, which looks really cool. That'll have to get its own episode, or episodes probably, because it's a very grotesque mod, but it's very cool. I also added some path blocks from my cause paths and pavings, just in case those are nice. And one final thing is I originally had Spice of Life Sweet Potato Edition. Now what this did is it would basically measure the last handful of foods I've eaten and see what my variety is. Now that has some problems, mainly in being that, say I eat potatoes, acorns, horseberries, onions, carrots, melons, sweet berries, peanut, a bunch of these low value foods, that would have the same value as if I ate a lot of high value foods. So what I've done is instead replaced it with apple pie edition, which instead of each food type getting its own just one diversity point essentially, instead each food has different diversity contributions. For example here, this one gives a 4.38 because it provides a lot more hunger and saturation, while the baked potato, not so much, or the apple, not so much. So I think this should be neat and also bring more meaning to actually automating these restaurants that I want to make. Now, I'll still automate foods like this, that they aren't amazing food diversity, but I still like the flavor and adding these kinds of things to the game, because it's kind of fun to have the fun things in the world, and I like creating things like that. So yeah. So I've actually finished up this roof here as well. I went with this magic wood from, I believe it's, yeah, Biomes of Plenty. I think it provides some nice contrast to the sort of darker purplish red we're going for here. And one thing I noticed about here is that because I used logs here, actually some leaves will get stuck up on the building because they're next to logs. This is not something I want happening, so what I'm using is these framed cubes. If I replace all these logs right here with framed cubes, just like so, it looks the exact same. However, now these are not technically logs, but instead they're framed cubes, so leaves will not get stuck on them, and they will not stay there after the sawmill has passed through. Additionally, I don't think I mentioned this before, but I added some like striped oak planks here to kind of be like a warning zone, and I think that looks pretty good, and it fits the overall aesthetic here. I'm still not 100% on these trapdoors. They kind of mismatch the oak, and I'm wondering if something made of oak would just be better, but for now that'll work. Okay, so after much time of humming and hawing at this little system down here, if we pop into this hole, we'll see what I have currently. Now this is not complete, but this is just where our acorns come in. I've not hooked it up yet because I want to make sure the rest of the system is set up first. But then over here we have just a simple little minecart that is going back and forth, which will harvest sugarcane, which will then go into this millstone, which will then go over there. So then we have our sugar coming over here, and then our acorns there. So we already have the materials for candy nuts. Now I think I'm going to use a mechanical arm to actually put the materials up into the basins up here, as it's kind of difficult to do it otherwise. And we'll do that by just having the belts end like here or so, and the mechanical arm can like sit under here, grab those, put it in there, and it can also grab materials from here and put it in there for the wheat and the cookies too. So yeah, this should work pretty well. Oh, that's a mild problem. Okay. Well, I can fix that. It should be doable just with some rails. I can add one behind it there so it has more space to move backwards essentially. But yeah, that should be pretty much this part. Now I'm gonna spend some time making a mechanical arm because these require precision mechanisms, which requires a whole sequence here. It's not too difficult, but it is annoying. So yeah, I'll be back when I have that ready. I have been spending, I don't even know how long, making the final part of this section, which was to make flour, as well as distributing the things to the mixers. And I've finally done it. We have this mechanical arm here that will be spinning around to pick up wheat that is planted just out here. Now if I hop inside here, it's very, very, say tight, I suppose, as I had limited space to work with here. So here was the original 2 depots. So then we have that portable storage interface, which is not connected to a funnel. There we go. Now, this will filter out the wheat into here, and then any seeds it gathers will just go over here into a chute, which goes to some lava you can kind of see down there. Then over here, down here, when the grindstone grinds the wheat, it has a chance of dropping seeds. So out over here we have a brass funnel, which is filtered to only pick up wheat. It's kind of hard to see from here, but trust me on that. So then the rest will also go straight into lava. So then the seeds go to lava. Then up here is our mechanical arm, which is connected to the basins, which I believe both now have sugar. Yeah. because it's been grabbing sugar from that. Additionally, and yeah, that's pretty much it. It feels very almost claustrophobic in here. I don't think I'm going to bother trying to make this look good under here because it's not worth my time, but it does function. And it functions quite well. So now I just need to patch up this and then plant up the wheat, and we're ready to run this. Alright, I have now basically completed the whole thing, at least from the outside. Over here I have planted our wheat field that the harvester comes through every once in a while. It should work pretty well. It needs some time to grow, but that'll be fine. Now if we go up into the room here, we'll need to replace these logs below, but we're getting sugar in here, and we'll have to filter out the recipes so that the mechanical arm over there will put it in the right spot. Now I do need to put the acorns in here as well, and we aren't making any wheat flour yet, of course, but I'm going to go ahead and make the cookie and candy nuts before I hook up their inputs to avoid any accidental input, because these don't need to be mixed since they're shape recipes. Now, add our mixers. There we go. All we need to do is hook these up to power, which we should be able to do probably from below. Would be ideal. In fact, right here we have power. So I'm going to go ahead and rig that up. Alright, after spending some time finagling with this, I now have this. I'll figure out the rest of the desk here because I'm not entirely sure what I want to do with it. But I have a depot here, and it brings these all the way over here. It's pretty nice. We're still waiting on cookies to be made. I'm assuming we just haven't had any wheat grow yet. Aha! Finally! Alright, so that goes in. It gets made into wheat flour. And then it should... Yes! Oh, finally. Yes, we have the creation of the candy nuts and nutty cookies. Beautiful. Wonderful. Alright. Well, we did it. I can now grab these, put these in my lunchbox. We've got some more coming. I'll probably have like a little gate here of sorts to just like say, oh, employees only, and then like have some sort of bridge across this just so you can get over here. Maybe we'll have some storage of some extra candy nuts and cookies. But yeah, I want to make it like a little cafe in here, so I'm gonna have to spruce it up a bit, but once I've done that, it should look ready and be done. Oh, you interrupted me. Should be done. What do you have? Nothing of value. Oh yeah, I also, off camera, made this machete here, which, if we look at it, it has 10 attack damage, and then I got sharpness 2 on it, so it's actually got 13. Plus, it's got very fast attack speed. If you're interested, there's the construction of it. And yeah, should be pretty nice. Alright, I've done a little bit of decorating here. I finished off the rest of this bench. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it. I'll maybe have to revisit this. I had a little salmon trophy here. Kind of looks funny to me. And then I added a little just a table here, as if people would like eat right here. Oh, shoot. But yeah, I think with that, I am going to end off this episode. We're actually filling up on oak logs pretty soon here. It's getting to be quite a lot. If we look here, we're approaching the limit. I'll have to add another upgrade to this, but I'm thinking we might want to maybe add a portion over here, or even back here, where we could be making other oak products like planks and, I mean, if I just look up oak, there's a whole heap of things we could be doing. We could make the stripped logs, we could make the planks, we could make the slabs, the stairs, all that sort of thing. And we could be making sticks from the twigs here too. Also, it's looking like because this is sort of stationary as this, it doesn't use too many acorns, so we still build up acorns. So that's nice. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this process of building this whole building. We'll have to see what we do next time, but I'll see you then.